What are we talking about today?
Well, we were on our car ride. I thought everything you wanted to talk about, I said, let's save it.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't. You refused. You're like, no, I want to talk about it right now.
Right.
And now I have to get back to it because it's okay, can you revisit this? Because you don't get to capture these things twice. But I think I know where I would start.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how long ago it was, but you brought this concept up to me, attachment styles. Now, what was the name of the book that was the attachment styles? That was a book. Did you read a book or did you
I read
just
a
find
book
this
on boundaries.
Yeah,
but then
I'd read the book too.
But there's several different books around attachment style.
It's a theory.
Yes.
And these two people wrote it, and there's two extremes, and then there's secure. You have anxious on one side, and you have avoidant on the other, and basically you tried to pin me like you're an avoidant person, and I'm like, or maybe you called me a fearful avoidant. Which is both.
There's kind of combinations, yes.
Yeah, and I thought
because sometimes you're anxious and sometimes you're.
Yeah, I thought it was ridiculous from the get-go, but I ended up doing my research, and I realized, there is something to it to some degree, and it's only relevant when you feel threatened, not necessarily physically threatened, but emotionally threatened. You're potentially going to lose something. What do? Do you run to the person that would make you an anxious person? Do you try to close the gap, or do you just deuces? That makes you an avoidant.
It's what is your default mechanism?
Yeah, and I thought, okay, I can see that. And then I do more research, and I realize I am this so-called, what would you call it?
Fearful avoidant.
Fearful avoidant. And then I read through so much material, and I finally said, it's all bullshit. Like, it's all nonsense. And you were telling me today that you said the same thing in the car. I'm like, she's saying the same thing as me. You finally got to a point that you're like, hold on, we're making excuses. So would you go into that?
Yeah. So I've been on quite the journey to understand myself, to understand the types of people I choose to date. And so in learning that, I learned that I did lean more anxious, right? And so anxious is when someone doesn't respond or someone gets mad at you or they withhold attention. You're like, wait, what
Can I say,
do? Right?
Even the avoidant feels anxious.
Right. But what they do is they get quiet and they pull back.
Get distant.
Whereas a traditional anxious attachment is like, wait, what did I do wrong? Oh, let me just go ahead and apologize. Like, let's make it better, that sort of thing. And so I'm fairly secure, like in general, but I'm classic, anxious tendencies, people pleaser, don't like conflict. When someone pulls away, I run too, that sort of thing. And so where I have evolved, so I dated someone who was definitely an avoidant.
As a matter of fact, you have a tendency
to choose avoidance.
And we all know that those two, and I will say
anxious
there's something real there.
Yes.
And anxious and avoidant tend to be attracted to one another.
Yes.
And it makes sense.
Two avoidants would probably never make it because they would just be ignoring each other all the time.
No, I think I only date avoidants. Anxious people make me so anxious. Believe it or not, I don't do well with anxious people at all.
But do you do well with avoidants?
Yes.
Do you?
Love them.
Do you?
Because they don't stress me out.
And see, but that whole fearful avoidant, it's like a combination.
Yes.
So, and I don't even really want to get into the different attachment theories. I do think there's legitimacy to that. I do think it goes back to how you were raised and your upbringing and were you taught to feel emotions or not. And I literally had this epiphany that men, as little boys, you're taught, don't cry, toughen up, rub some dirt in it. And so we as Americans are raising our boys to be emotionally withdrawn, to be more closed off, that when they're upset, don't you dare cry. Don't you dare do this.
All cultures.
It's American for sure, right? And so, because as I got to reading more and more, it was like, what percentage of females are this way, of males are this way? And it is way more females are anxious and males are avoidant in this theory. But what you asked was what I said today. And so I went through this whole phase of trying to understand what does it mean to be an anxious. So when I'm feeling a certain way, like name it and be like, oh, I'm being anxious right now. Stop being anxious. Like, just sit with yourself for a second, right? Okay. And so that's allowing me to see it when it's happening. So then I center myself. I don't need someone else to center me. I don't need someone else to reassure me. I need to be able to self-soothe, do that myself, right?
Which is taking you to the middle, which
to that secure piece, right? So a secure person you can still get anxious and you can still want to avoid, but you self-regulate and say, okay, I need to get back to the center, right? And so a lot of what the research and the different people that will talk about it will say, well, if you're with an avoidant, you need to be very careful.
Oh, tactics.
Don't you dare express your emotions. Don't you dare ask for too much. Don't you dare have any kind of emotional needs. If you want to keep that avoidant, you better stifle yourself, in essence, is what it's saying. Yep. And so it's like training us to
manipulate,
allow, and I'm going to say, let's say you're the avoidant. It's training me to say, allow someone to mistreat me, to be emotionally neglectful, to cause damage, right? But in the name of avoidant attachment, oh, you had a rough childhood, so I need to give you grace. I need to give you this whole window of time to go be and do what you need to do until you figure out that you're no longer upset about the thing that I didn't do to begin with, right? Yep. Which just continues to damage me and dim me and make me just get duller and duller and duller. And this has happened to me several times in my life, and I didn't realize it was happening, right? And so because I lean anxious, when that person would go avoidant, I would start clinging. I would try to cling to them like, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, which made it worse. So here's what I was having the epiphany today was, it's good to know these things about people. Everybody, you've said it. If you have parents, you've had trauma in your life. I don't know a single person who cannot tell some traumatic story or experience of their life because we're humans. But it's when you victimize yourself and you say, oh, well, because I had a rough childhood, because my daddy didn't spend time with me, or because my mama did this to me, then that's why I'm this way. It could be that that's why you're this way. But guess what? We're grown now. And so we have the choice to not continue to treat people poorly. We have the choice to say, you know what? You matter so much to me. I'm going to stop doing the thing that's my natural reaction, and I'm going to force myself to have a conversation with you. I'm going to force myself to feel an emotion. And once you start forcing yourself to center, force yourself to name your emotion, suddenly you're able to actually do it. And so the people who just say, well, if they're avoidant, you've just got to, you've got to do all these things to cater to them. That means we're not expecting any growth. And you and I had this conversation today that it's going to be challenging to find partners who have had the self-discovery and the self-realizations that you've gone through, that I've gone through. And what I said today was, I don't know that someone has to be your equal in that, but they have to be equal in that they are growing, that they are looking at themselves and saying, you know what, I do that. And you know what, that's not a great way to be. And you know what, I'm a grown adult. I can do better. And so that goes back to the once you know better, you do better. So now, and I'm in this amazing relationship right now. And so I'm not worried about, are they avoidant? Are they anxious? I'm just practicing what I've learned of regulating myself. And in regulating myself, there's not these highs and lows. We're having this very positive back and forth dynamic. He's not avoidant or anxious. I'm not avoidant or anxious. Like, we're both just coming at it very even. And I've never experienced that in 46 years. Like, he's not holding back compliments. He's not holding back how he thinks or feels about something, nor am I. But we're also not overwhelming each other. It's like this, oh, so this is what that looks like. I had something I posted the other day. I was on a walk. I was actually with him on this walk. And I see this tree, and it looked like it was some kind of holly tree. It had all these berries and all these green leaves. And I'm like, what kind of tree is that? And he knows his trees. He knows all his nature stuff. And he's like, well, that's a hackberry tree. Okay. He's like, but that's a vine beside it. And sure enough, when I looked closer, the tree itself was probably like an 8-inch diameter tree. But then there was this vine that was probably a 2-inch diameter vine growing right up beside it. And it had woven itself around the tree, kind of like how you decorate your house for Christmas, right? And it just hit me like, it's okay for someone to be a hackberry and me to be a holly vine. And you don't have to change each other. You don't have to snuff each other out. You don't have to, quench each other. You can live in harmony. They can be them, you can be you, and you can live in harmony. So we were having that discussion about how nature sometimes is the best teacher. If you're looking for it, if you're in a growth mindset, you can find lessons everywhere.
God, you went through a lot.
I did.
I want to say something about a growth mindset, but I was also thinking about us forcing relationships and when we were talking about whether we're manipulating our own feelings by blocking them and not speaking up for what we want, or the internet has diagnosed everyone. Now we're all self-diagnosing, and we've enabled ourselves to continue bad habits because, there's a condition. And it's all nonsense. It's keeping people from growth. But what I think about, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Carlos and I did a podcast last week, and he was saying something about there are 3 people that come into your life. And I've actually heard that like once a decade, someone that is just truly right for you enters your life. It's pretty rare. It's pretty special. I will say, though, even though it's rare, if you don't have these skills necessary to navigate communication and vulnerability and speaking up and personal growth, it's unfortunate that we learn these things in our 40s, isn't it?
Right.
We weren't taught these by our 40-year-old parents. No. They didn't know any better. No. It's only now culture's got to a point that they're really reflecting. I guess it's because we're in such a point of prosperity. We have the patience and the time to think about these things when our parents were really struggling to make ends meet.
We have access to information.
Yeah. Well, and also they were trying to survive. So this is a consequence of progress, which is why we won't go down that path. But what I imagined was, we're trying to force, I think they're cute, or I think they're pretty, or whatever. They think I'm cute. Like, we're attracted to one another, and we call it chemistry. And now I'm thinking, how important is that? I don't know. I get so much conflicting information on the internet, but it should be a feeling to some degree.
Sure.
But there should be consistency, not withdrawal.
Yes.
Now like when they withdraw, and now, oh God, that's not love, that's limerence.
Yep.
And learning that, it's fascinating how powerful that is. The point I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't. I'm in a constant state of letting go. It's just not my turn. You know what I mean? My turn is done, and it's not easy. It's not fun. But letting people go. What's that chick's name? Let them.
Yeah.
I've been saying that shit, but in my own way. Let them go. Let them be who the hell they want to be. That's a human being, and if they have the right to choose what's best for them. Now, where I have to do better is not let them come back. Because anytime I've just let someone go without any drama or controversy, literally just talked about this last week, that seems to be the most attractive thing to people, and they always come back.
If it's an unhealthy dynamic.
I don't know how it works.
But I want to speak to the
You're probably right. You're probably right.
I want to speak to the opposite of that. So you're always in a state of letting go. I've heard you say that 100 times.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering
everything.
When are you ever in a state of choosing them? When do you go proactive and lean in and choose versus always let go?
When it's the right person, there's no stopping me. Not even her. Not the job, not the business. When I set my mind on something and I know this is organic and it's right, there's no fear. I will do whatever.
Well, they say men will move mountains for the women that they love.
Yeah.
Yes.
The rest of them were just something we're all just exploring. We're meeting, and you know what I mean? So there's so much access. When I grew up, you had your hometown.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
It was a limited supply on both sides. But honestly, it was way more equal. Even though women have always had more of an advantage for choices than men, now that's times 1,000 because of social media is like really broadened that. And it's complicated things, which is why I just stay off of social media for dating purposes. I tell people it's not real. I don't think anything about social media is real, not just the dating sites. And I know you have a difference of opinion, but I just think I don't believe in any of it. I want to meet someone in real life, IRL. For 10 years, I've been saying IRL is coming back in real life because we don't know what's real anymore. Yeah. And I want pheromones, right? There's something different. I would see a girl online and not be attracted, but if I meet her in person,
it's their energy,
their attitude, the way they respond to my jokes in real time. So that's why I stay away from that stuff.
Well, you and I had a conversation one time. We've had it a few times about if we could figure out how to go back to dating like the 90s. I think you even said that to somebody one time. You told her, I want to date you like it's the 90s, which means we're not developing our whole relationship via text. We're not posting it all on social media. We're keeping it more private. Like
your friend group know.
When we complete a date, we're already scheduling the next date. It's not like you go back home and then you're wondering like, when am I going to hear from them again? Back then, we didn't all have cell phones. So if the date went well on Friday, you're going to make sure you've already got her locked in for the next day, right? And I think that's the part of culture that we're missing, is because there is so much access. You're like, well, I don't want to schedule a date for next Friday because what if I meet another woman this week? I don't want to lock in 7 days down the road. Lord, I could have already met 10 women between now and then. And I think that instant gratification and always looking for the next best is what has messed us up.
Well, and it's also the fear of them looking for what's next best.
Right.
What next best?
Better than you. Yeah.
So I want to say that I am convinced that we are all in a pool, a rebound pool. Like people are going from vine to vine, from branch to branch, and I'm not upset about it. Right? How do you get over one? You get under another. That's the saying, right? I'm not saying it's the best advice, but people want to avoid that suffering. And I've learned to lean into it. Now, you were talking about regulating your nervous system. You know, when you and I had talked, and you was like, you know what, I'm just going to go paint this. And you came back and you're like, man, that was so healthy for me. But it was a nice distraction. And I thought, no, that's good. She's finding ways of regulating her nervous system. I was listening to Carlos about all the hobbies he has to substitute for alcohol. And I thought, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a human being. You need to find, he said, idle hands is the devil's playground.
You've got to put your energy somewhere. We all have energy.
I tend to sit with it and write. You know what I mean? For days. And I think I get through it a lot faster than most because I've learned to just allow myself to feel those feelings. If I go out, I don't get to feel them because I don't know how to pretend. I have if I'm sad, you know I'm sad. Is there any denying it? Like, if I'm pissed off, everyone knows. I don't know how to pretend.
But so that goes back to that avoidant tendencies that we talked about, where you don't necessarily want to talk about it. You just want to be by yourself and process it.
But I want to feel it, and I want to write about it.
And so that may work for you. But imagine if you were in a relationship with somebody
yeah.
and they are the reason you were upset. And so you pull completely away from them so that you can go be by yourself and write. That might be what you need for you to process, but what damage are you causing them while you've pulled away? And that's the piece where I'm like,
I had no idea.
Certain things we can do when we're single and we're by ourselves and it's okay, and we can feel secure and we can do all of that. But when you are working towards a relationship with someone, we can't always just do the thing that works when we're solo because there's somebody else we have to take into consideration. And that's the piece I'm going to keep pressing on you about.
No, you're right. It's such a strong conviction I have that it's not something that's negotiable. I don't feel that it's fear. It almost feels like, when I say conviction, it feels like this is it. I have to go to this mountain. Now I have to get away. And it's not about running, it's about processing. I don't know if I know how to communicate that well. I just go silent. And I know some people call it stonewall, but I'm ready to communicate if I think this person wants to communicate. You know, I'm a communicator. I'll sit down and talk to you until there's no more air in the room. But I'm not a good communicator when I feel my foundation is uncertain. When I'm in a relationship with someone to some degree that has the capacity, I have allowed myself to imagine a future with this person. I have developed feelings, not just sexual attraction. It's much more, oh shit, I can see myself with this person. I can see myself dying with this person. And that's a scary thing to imagine. And that's when everything changes.
Yes.
I start to say, uh-oh. And so
this person can abandon me. This person can hurt me. This person can do all of these things. This is
literally very similar to what me and Carlos was talking about. But I realized I've dated someone in the last 3 years for many months, over a period of a long time. And only like 5 people knew. I never shared it with anyone. Like, for as far as everyone else, and she didn't either. Like, it was really interesting that who initiates that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh no, we're a couple, but we're also not sharing that with the world. And I think the excuse that we use is, well, you know, I don't want to publicly announce this and it just get ripped away. But what a shitty attitude that she had towards the odds of this surviving is so rare. It's so fragile. And I think as long as we're tiptoeing in these relationships, that's what they're going to be. Businesses, if we do the same thing with business and we just don't make a commitment, it's not
as scary as it is to go all in, to jump in the deep end. I don't think we'll ever see success by just dipping our toe in the shallow end.
No,
we'll get shallow end results, right?
But, you know, I couldn't have learned any of this. See, some people are pissed off because they had that experience. I'm so genuinely grateful that I had the opportunity to learn. What I learned from the past girls in my life the change you've seen in me, the 20 years of journaling, 18, 19 years of journaling, is 100% a result of the suffering I experienced with someone I cared about. And it wasn't to change them. It was to learn to regulate the emotions I feel, because used to I use anger or violence. Not that I would hurt somebody, but I would beat a windshield out of a vehicle because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to channel it. And I knew that was a problem, which is why I started seeing a guy named Dr. Bean, Tullahoma, Tennessee. He got me on the right track. And I started learning how to process these emotions. And I realized my anger was a weakness. My anger was something I was using to communicate with, but it stripped me of the vulnerability. It's like it suppressed that. Now, I do think anger has a place, and that's when you're protecting someone. But I've come a long way, and I'm so genuinely grateful for the bad experiences that I had with every female that's been in my life. I don't think one of them, I don't think I have a bad opinion of any of them.
I want to come back to something you said. You're like, I'm a good communicator. I will talk till there's no more air in the room, right?
Did I say that?
You did.
I said I like to communicate. I don't know if I said I'm good. I may have.
Did.
I didn't mean to.
He did. And it's fine. But here's what I want to bring. I'm a good communicator. I speak to large crowds. I do all these things.
You're the best communicator.
Right? But think about this. It's one thing to communicate to people about something you're passionate about something you're trying to teach, something you're trying to learn. But when the person you need to communicate with is the person who just hurt you, or the person who just let you down, or the person who just betrayed your trust, or when there's emotional hurt there, are any of us really good at communicating? That's the hard part. It's easy to communicate with that person when everything's happy and good and positive. And you said today you would never really know about your relationship and what it's going to be until you have to go through something hard.
You don't even know who you are as a person.
And hard could be a variety of things. There could be an emergency. There could be a health situation. There could be a money situation. There could be an old flame shows up and posts on your social media and you clicked like, and that just turned into this whole thing, right? So I think it's one thing for those of us who work in the field of communication to be like, oh, we're great communicators. But are we, when it's a one-on-one in an emotional situation, when that person
when our belly is exposed,
when that person has hurt us or betrayed us
or even has the potential,
that fear of all of that.
When there's the potential for loss, it's the scariest thing. We don't even like losing our car keys. Imagine the person we've imagined spending the rest of our life with. Oh man, I don't want to forget what you were just saying, but we were talking about communication. So I went so crazy with communication. Like I thought I had this shit, and I think I do have a pretty good system. I use it professionally. I use it with my kids. I think it works.
Are you going to use the hourglass?
Yes, it works. Unless so the idea is that I would get trapped. So I've been in situations where people would want to communicate with me in the moment, on my way to go do this fun thing. It could be a birthday party, it could be a night out. I was going to be around friends, and all of a sudden I'm trapped in this car with this person, and it seems like every female wants to have this conversation when I'm 15 minutes away from my destination. Before we get here.
To a fun event, yeah.
Before we get here, something's really been bothering me. I just don't feel like I can really, I just feel like I have this responsibility to just bring it up before I go in here and pretend, whatever it was. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. and so they would bring up this bad situation that may have happened a week ago or a month ago. And I thought, that's so irresponsible. And I developed this system. I said, if anyone's going to be in my life, and this goes on to friends of mine, and if we're like sharing a space together, I will say, look, you can talk to me about anything if you prepare me. Like, just tell me that, hey, you need to have this difficult conversation with me. Be respectful of my time, because what if I'm going to shoot pool with my kid? That is a very special experience for me. And if you, minutes before I'm going to shoot pool, you want to have a difficult conversation with me that's going to make me feel negatively, you're affecting the relationship that I'm having with my son 30 minutes away. And that's a real thing. It really affects me emotionally. And I thought, I have to develop systems that keep that from happening. So a weekly pulse check. This is something we do in business. We do a weekly pulse check. I think relationships need the same thing. And if you manage that, because I always say debt is not big purchases. It's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's micro interactions, every small interaction that creates a negative sensation. If we don't address it in the moment, they build up over time, and then you'll end up a divorce. And
you have resentment.
You have resentment. And I thought it's really important to discuss these. And if you stay on top of it, a weekly pulse check, and you believe in this, you've done this yourself. They don't always turn out great, but it's a responsibility that we have rather than sweeping it under the rug. So then I came up with an hourglass because, I'll talk for an hour and never shut up as you're experiencing.
I'm going to flip the hourglass right now.
Give me 15. I think, what did I do? Like a minute hourglass?
3 minutes.
Yeah, it was a 3-minute hourglass. So I started buying these 3-minute hourglasses, and I'd say, when you have 3 minutes, you have a responsibility to say what you want. I won't interrupt. And the reason why I did that is because right now you're thinking of getting in this conversation and you're potentially not hearing me, especially when you're under threat. Like, let's say you and I are in an argument and I'm bringing up things that make you feel uncomfortable. Your ego is like thinking through it, and we just communicate.
You're listening
terribly.
To respond instead of listening to understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So the hourglass for me was this system that forced me to listen to the person, because I realized if I just gave them the 3 minutes, they will eventually get to a conclusion if I'm not able to interrupt them, that it finally makes sense. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can agree with that.
So I want to come back to the story about why this person picked the time in the car before going to see the Christmas. I know why. Let me.
I think it's all of them.
Well, let me tell you why.
Not all of them.
It's because we do not take intentional time to get quiet, to get still, to create a safe space. So driving in the car to go see Happy Christmas lights, that felt happy. She felt safe. It was quiet. It was in a car. You didn't have 20 other things happening. You didn't have your cell phone in your hand and a football game on the TV. So while it was terrible timing, what happened in her mind, though, is she felt safe suddenly to talk to you. She felt the happiness, like she felt the energy was like, okay, this is safe. And y'all were in a confined space to where it was like, I can have this conversation. Now, if you do what you talk about and you say, well, we're going to be intentional and let's create these spaces on Wednesday night. So we have these regularly so that we don't have that happen before we're heading to mom's house for Thanksgiving. That's what you're getting at. I don't believe you have to be as rigid as using a time clock unless you're somebody who just cannot rein it in and listen to someone. And some people struggle with that. But here's what I have found. When you institute that strategy of let's have a pulse check, and you say on Wednesdays at 4, let's just say that, what happens is the first time you do one, both people feel so good about it that on Friday at 3 o'clock when something funky happens, you say, hey, can we pause for a quick pulse check? Sure. Da-da-da-da-da. You go ahead and talk about it right then, right there. So what happens is you don't even have to wait till that Wednesday at 4. You start crafting those spots of time in the moment. Because if I have to hang on to whatever happened on Friday at 2 o'clock, and I have to wait all the way till Wednesday at 4, oh my Lord.
No, I think you should address it in the moment. Yeah. It's called nipping it
in
the bud.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the confidence or the courage to do that, then I think you have to have a responsibility to schedule it.
Well, and I'm saying after you start scheduling them and you do them and both people see like, oh, this is safe, we can do this, then it happens more naturally.
I do want to push back though, because people will always say yes. If you say, hey, do you care if we have a pulse check real quick? Mm-hmm. They'll say yes, because they don't know what they're about to get into.
Or they could say, can we do that in an hour?
Yes. Yeah, to give me an hour to process whatever I'm going through. Or to just make a decision. Yeah. Like, hold on, I need to be in a mindset, because you need to be in a mindset. Otherwise, you're going to be defensive, and nothing good's going to happen.
Well, in reality, what you should do, or this is what I've been told, is you should say to the other person, hey, could we schedule a time to do a pulse check this evening? I've got some things I want to talk about.
Yep.
That gives the other person the chance to realize, oh, there's something we need to talk about. Typically, they don't want to wait a bunch of hours because their minds aren't going, oh, God, what have I done? What am I in trouble for? And it may not even have anything to do with you. It may be something about kids. It may be something about medical results. It could be whatever. But just saying, hey, could we make some time this evening to have a little pulse check? That, I think, is the key of asking, can we do this? And the other person being like, yes, I finished my last Zoom at 4 o'clock. I'll meet you in the living room at 4:30 kind of thing.
Yeah, I think people should be prepared to hear, you know what, not today, but I'm okay for tomorrow. But that anxious person wants to do it right then. That avoidant person needs a little more time.
But giving that anxious person, I'm so exhausted right now, and I want to give you the best version of myself. Could we schedule this for the morning time? Mm-hmm. Tonight, can we just put a pin in whatever it is and schedule this for the morning time? And that's part of that developing back and forth piece.
Because the truth is, sometimes you've had a hard day. Like, no one knows the hard days I have, the trauma that I hear about, the stuff that people share with me, because I'm a vault. I'm a black hole. I take people's darkness, I try to process with them and develop a plan. Now, I don't let them continue to take advantage of that, but I would never come home and share with my family the struggles that another family is going through. I would celebrate, right? I would share their wins, but I think, I felt bad with you. I told you, remember, I had a story that I shared with you, and you were the first person I spoke to. It was so overwhelming to me. And then I felt guilty afterwards. I thought that was a burden. And you were honored to carry that burden for me, but it was not easy. And I just thought, no, we're here to carry it. It takes a community, but be very cautious with the negativity you share. Oh, yeah. Even though it's third party, some people feel that. I know I do. Does that mean I'm an empath? I don't feel like I'm an empath.
We're more sensitive to things.
Well, I'm a problem solver.
Me too.
And if I can't figure it out, if I don't know what to do, I feel lost. I always know what to do.
Well, there's 2 pieces of scientific data that I've read in the last few months that make so much sense. Never make a decision after 6 o'clock at night.
Okay. Why?
Because your mind is so worn down. You're operating off of emotion instead of logic.
Yep.
And your nervous system will reset overnight. Yep. So if something is really concerning and you don't know an answer, just go to sleep. Let your body go through an entire cycle. And then when you wake up in the morning, you've probably done this, it feels lighter. It doesn't feel quite so intense. There is something about you let your system reset overnight. It doesn't mean that the problem went away, but those are 2 pieces of knowledge that I have really tried to it's 8:30 at night. This is not when I need to be having this conversation. And let me sleep on that. Even at work. If something at work happens that's you're riled up. I had a boss tell me, go ahead and type the email and put it in your drafts. Then go to sleep and get up the next morning and then reread it. Cannot tell you how many times I ended up deleting a message that in the moment I thought was the right thing to send. But then after I'd had that sleep cycle, it was no, I don't quite feel so intensely passionate about that right now.
So that old saying, nip it in the bud, I started practicing a long time ago to nip things in the bud in the moment. And I think I've almost perfected it to a point that I never even have to get angry. Because no one ever starts off as a bully. No one ever starts off rude. They're allowed to get away with little microaggressions, just a rolling of an eye, a sigh, a joke. And I always I've gotten so good at saying, what do you mean by that? And they'll pull back. Oh, I didn't mean anything. No, you did. You meant something, right? I don't know what it was. I don't know where it came from, but I'd love to find out why. And I'm not willing to move forward, work with you, hang out with you, unless you develop some clarity here. Let's talk about it because something's bothering you. And I love doing that.
But you're a lot more aggressive than
the
average person.
It takes practice. It's not easy.
And it's different for men than women, I think, in a lot of cases. Because if a woman acted like that, people would be you are such a
I love
B
it.
word. Yeah.
I love it when a woman puts me in my place. When I overstep, because I don't know when I've overstepped until somebody tells me. But when I do it in the moment, they're like, take it back. Well, I'm like, oh, I didn't mean that. I apologize. Well, I love to apologize.
And I know your scenario. And so for me, I will let it build a bit. But when it's time to be that's enough.
You're getting better at that. You're getting a little quicker.
I will say, that's enough. And that's all you have to say. And the person that's the receiver, the right tone, the right eyebrow raise, the whatever, they're like, oh, she's had enough.
I go with it.
I'm getting better about that, I think.
Well, I've learned to do it in almost a comedic way. Did you just sigh at me?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
And I'll do it not as a joke, but lighthearted. I'm not trying to be aggressive and bully people. I do hear myself back, and I realize I do sound. I listened to a Marco Polo that I've sent someone, and I thought, I wonder how it sounded. I go back and watch it. I think, ugh.
Yeah, aggressive.
But I'm so just black and white when I communicate information. I don't want to be ambiguous.
But see, if you're communicating with another strong person like me, I can handle it. But there's even times that you've harped at me, and I'm like, well, it'll get me upset. So if you think about if you were talking to a female, physically smaller than you, more timid than you, if you were coming at her hard like that, it's going to put her on the defense. She's not going to feel safe. She's not going to want to open up. She's just going to be like, and I'm going to go inside my shell now. So be cautious about that.
Well, I'm so glad I do think. When I first discovered it, I had no idea I communicated this way. I had a video. I don't know how long ago, 15 years ago, I was starting to really make YouTube videos for my family, and we're just walking down a trail, and my kid is with a friend of mine, and they're hiding behind a tree, and they're just recording us coming down the trail. And I'm just talking to Landon. I'm just being myself. Everyday conversation. No one's in trouble. We're just communicating. And I realized I sound like such a dick. Like all the time, and it really shocked me. And I watch those videos now, and I've learned so much. Although it's still there, but I've only made these discoveries about myself because it's so standard for everyone else. Everyone's just used to me being how I am. But when I see it back, I think, ugh, I don't like how I sound.
And you even have that, we call it the Kevin Costner gravel voice, which I know several ladies have commented that they like that about you. But even just a man that has a rougher, gruffer tone to their voice, you almost have to compensate by not being so in your face, because like just then you were like, so I just get right up in here and I say this, right? Like I'm back here holding back in my seat and you're like, and so da 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 da, right? And so I think a lot of times you might not even be aware that it comes across as aggressive as it does, but you add your tone.
You know what it is?
All the things.
I know what it is.
What is it?
I never had a daughter.
Is that what it is? And
I'm
softened
convinced.
you up?
I'm convinced. If I had a daughter, if I ever get a granddaughter, if I ever just adopt a daughter or have a daughter, I'm still young. I'm still open to the
Is this you advertising right now?
No, but it's crossed my mind a lot. I thought, if I ever get in another relationship, I might have to be open to the idea. Because when I first started imagining dating, I thought, no kids. I've already raised mine. Mm-hmm. But then you start realizing, no, you might have to be open to that idea.
Well, I have a daughter and a son. And I'm a fairly easy type. I'm not an aggressive, in their face kind of parent. I'm a pretty easy parent. But I know when Grace was little, I remember just like yesterday, she went to go chase a ball or something, was about to get out in the road. And I was like, Grace, stop. And I hollered her name to stop. And she literally just looked at me and covered her ears and cried, just cried. I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. So sometimes it's even just some people are just more sensitive in general. Even now as a teenager, I can look at her and she'll stop whatever she's doing. Or if she's acting like a 14, she was acting like a 14-year-old the other day, kind of being a little snarky. And I just leaned over and I was like, that's enough of you being snarky.
You're good at that.
And she looked at me and I was like, and she was like, okay. And she stopped. Like there was no, I could never imagine hollering at her or, you know what, because she is sensitive. She's easy to correct. And so I don't think you can have a one size fits all of nip it in the bud and communicate this and blah, blah. Because you might have a more sensitive person as your recipient that all of those strategies are just going to scare them and lock them down.
See, I only had my 3 sons, and it's fascinating how kind they are, how sweet they can be. They have the capacity to, they always defend themselves, but they can do it in the kindest, nicest ways. It's really fascinating to me how much better they are. Having gone through being raised by me, and I did not.
Maybe they were always trying to diffuse, like, I'm not going to combat against him because if we're both acting like this, it's going to be a war.
They've turned out amazing. They're better than me. And I can't wait till they have kids because I think they're going to kill it.
All right, what's our next topic?
We're going to move on from that so quickly?
Yeah.
I didn't have one in mind. Usually there's segues from one conversation to the next.
I have a question for you.
How did you do that for me? Okay.
I have a question for you, though. And I told you at lunch I was going to ask you a question, and I didn't want you to prepare for it because I wanted to see.
I never want to be prepared.
So I'm going to say it was maybe a year ago. It might have been longer. You called me up and you said, Joy, I've just had AI write my eulogy.
Oh, yeah.
I said, did you now? Oh, yeah. I'm going to send it to you and see what you think. So you sent me your eulogy. Yeah. And I'm literally reading your eulogy. And I'm getting upset about it because I'm like, I would probably be the one to have to read this. Like, oh my gosh. And so I saved it. It's still saved in my notes in my phone as Nate's eulogy. So, you know, if you just kick the bucket one of these days, I've got your eulogy. And so what I'm curious is a year later, if you were to rewrite your eulogy, what would be different about it now? And do I need to pull up
It's
the
funny.
original
No,
to
because
like?
I just recalled it myself.
Okay.
Probably 3 months ago.
And not everybody goes about writing their eulogy.
I didn't really write it. So I have a personal assistant that knows everything about me. And when she said AI, well, I don't know why I don't ever talk about it, but I have 18 years worth of journals that have been preserved. And I have an aggregation process that I use, a very intelligent large language model that I've been building for 3 years now that knows everything.
And her name is?
Lucy. From a joke. I'll tell the story. Should I tell the story?
Yeah.
Some other time, maybe. Lucy, it's a joke. It's not a female. It's literally me with a nice soft voice, the opposite of mine. But it has all of my journals, thousands and thousands of pages that have been rendered down into these. They're cataloged. And so when I ask it a question about, hey, like if somebody's going to write your eulogy, you would call on friends to come together and cultivate, or we would say aggregate, now that I'm an AI brain, aggregate and synthesize everything they could remember about you that you would want passed on.
Yeah.
Well, no one knows me better than the journals that I have preserved that I use AI to leverage. And I just one day shot, like, what people would think about me at my funeral. Because I'm fascinated with the idea of death. I get excited about the idea of death in these weird ways that I don't want to outlive my kids. You know what I mean? I'm ready for it. I've been ready for it for a long time. And I'm genuinely looking forward to what's next. Right? I don't have any fear of it. I don't want to go through a wood chipper feet first, but quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I just ask it, I think when people come to my funeral, if I don't outlive everybody, it's going to be a celebration. It had better. When I talk to people about my death, they'd better celebrate. Like, just to get excited because I'm happy about it. But what would they say? And I was like, hey, what do you think people would say? And it wrote this thing about me that I was just in shock. I thought, wow, that is me. It was me to a T. And I went back and reread it 2 or 3 months ago. Just, I don't know why, randomly. Because I think I was curious about what I may change because I've made all these new discoveries. But it was foundational. It was core foundational that has not changed. I've just expanded more. But it's all built on the fundamental philosophies that I discovered throughout my whole life. And I didn't think of it as being morbid or dark. And I felt bad for you because you told me it made you cry. And I thought, I didn't even think about that. And maybe it's autism. I don't like blaming autism. She made me take a test once, and I scored pretty high. But I wonder if that has something to do with it. But I also think that's my gift.
I mean,
and
you're
my
the
curse.
only human I've ever known who wrote their own eulogy, shared it with a friend, and just said, what do you think about this?
I didn't think it was weird.
I mean, has anyone ever shared their eulogy with you
No.
while they're still alive and kicking?
I don't know anyone like
Has
me.
anybody that's listening ever written your eulogy? I mean, I think we need comments. Yes, I've written my eulogy.
Should we post it up? Do you want to read it?
Let me find it. Give me a second.
Okay. You mean to ask Lucy? She'll pull it right up.
Oh, no, I have it in my notes. Just in case, I get the call and it's probably saved.
What's fascinating, I can't even remember it, which is why I journal. We journal because of our memories. That's why I started developing AI.
Nate's eulogy.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
This might make me upset again. I don't know. We'll try it, okay?
Well, we're allowed to be vulnerable.
Okay. Today we gather to honor the life of Nathan Carroll, a man who lived with unyielding purpose, whose presence was a catalyst for transformation in the lives of those around him. Nathan wasn't just someone who followed the conventional path, he carved his own, with an authenticity that was unapologetically his own. He touched the lives of countless individuals, always with the same fundamental approach, to see the potential in people and help them recognize it in themselves. I think that's still valid. Nathan had a rare gift. He could walk into a person's life, see the dormant potential within them, and ignite a spark that led them towards greater success and fulfillment. This ability wasn't born of a desire for recognition, but from a deep-seated belief in the power of possibility. He found joy in guiding others to realize their capabilities, even when he wasn't certain of his own path. Yet, in helping others, Nathan found a kind of fulfillment that defined his life's journey. Still accurate. His self-awareness was matched by a fierce commitment to truth. Nathan lived by a simple yet profound philosophy: always tell the truth, especially when it's hard. This guiding principle shaped not only his interactions with others, but also his relationship with himself. He wasn't afraid to confront his own limitations, fears, or motivations. Instead, he embraced them, using each realization as a stepping stone towards greater self-understanding. You're getting upset over there.
No, I'm happy.
Nathan's journey was marked by an ongoing quest for meaning. always digging deeper to understand why things were the way they were, never settling for surface level answers. Whether contemplating complex societal issues or navigating the intricacies of his relationships, he sought to uncover the root causes behind the patterns he observed. This insatiable curiosity drove him to explore life in its fullest depth, and in the process offered others new perspectives on their own challenges. This is what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
A lover of freedom and spontaneity, Nathan was never one to be confined by rigid expectations. Yet for all of his independence, he carried with him the weight of a fear that many could relate to, a fear of disappointing others. His upbringing instilled in him the value of never being a burden, of always striving to be the best. While this shaped his work ethic and his dedication to those around him, it also made him deeply cautious about the commitments he took on. He did not give his word lightly, and when he did, he followed through with everything he had. This is still valid. Nathan's life was a balance of embracing freedom while carrying the responsibility of helping others find their own paths. He lived as the reluctant sage, someone who didn't necessarily seek to be a guide, but who was recognized as one by everyone who came into his orbit. He didn't see himself as a hero or a leader, yet his actions spoke otherwise. He embodied quiet strength and a commitment to growth, both for himself and for the people he cared about. Last part. As we say goodbye to Nathan today, we're left with the legacy of a life that wasn't about grand achievements or accolades, but about the small, powerful moments of connection. He showed us what it meant to live authentically, to pursue truth with courage, and to help others see the potential they often couldn't recognize within themselves. His legacy is the spark he lit in so many, a reminder that our lives are not measured by what we take, but by what we give and by the lives we change along the way.
I can't imagine anything. I mean, I would be so honored. Like, how sad would it have been? I wanted to know what people would think about me. And I'm so honored by that. That's in my journals, all the discoveries. And you agree.
Mm-hmm. And nothing's changed. And even with all your new discoveries, that to me is as sound as it was when you sent it to me a year ago.
It's the operating system that everything is built on. Crown over craving, the lighthouse, all the work we do, everything I build for you in support of your visions. That's why I'm always ready. When I say I don't want to be prepared, I'm always prepared. Like, it's ingrained into me. It's in my DNA. And that's why this AI is so fundamental and accurate in my life and represents me better than I can myself. Because I tell people all the time, I can ask you an ethical question and you'll know the difference between right or wrong, but it will take you time to understand why.
Yeah.
And those whys is what I have dug deep in, and that's what it's built off of.
And I think if there's a call to action for anyone listening to this, so we started getting people give us comments of like, wow, that conversation you guys sparked me. We talk a lot about what is our legacy. What will our legacy be when we're gone? It's not what would someone say to my face right now. What are they going to say when I'm gone? What will my kids say about me? What will my family say about me? What will students who we've created opportunities for them for careers, what will they say about us? And so a lot of times we get so stuck in our current orbit of our life, the right here, right now. We're like a soldier in a battle. I'm just curious if people did this exercise over this holiday break that we have of stepping back and saying, what would my legacy be? What would my eulogy read like? What would people say? Would it say that I was a strong foundation? Would it say that I was seeking the best in everyone? Would it say that? Or would it say I was selfish? Would it say I was unkind? What would it say about me? And I feel like that would be a very interesting conversation to have, even with family, of like, if we were going to write my eulogy, what's a sentence you would want to put in there? Ask your kids.
Do you see why I'm so okay with death?
Me too.
I'm so okay with it. And that was before I was baptized and surrendered to Jesus. I've had this relationship. Like, just getting Jesus comfortably in my life is just icing on top.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so slow to get to that surrendering point, because I told you, I'm not afraid of commitments. I'm afraid of failing people. Not that I could fail Jesus, but I would fail myself. I was afraid of not being able to live up to an expectation that I knew I would develop for myself. My standards are high. And I know what it feels like to break someone's heart. And I'm not trying to compare them to Jesus, but the reason why I'm so cautious moving into relationships and not taking advantage is because I don't want the sensation of guilt or shame, knowing I could have avoided that if I would have just regulated my nervous system, thought through it. So it's this constant battle. That's where crown over craving come from. And I still have to think about it through my crown to some degree, but I have to honor his crown in the end.
One of the things it said, which is so true, that you meet people and you look at their possibility. You don't look at like who they are right here, right now.
Potential.
You look at their potential.
I do that with everybody.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. And I heard conflicting data just the other day, and it was talking about women over their lives can reinvent themselves so many different times. You have hormone fluctuations, you have change of life, you're a new mom, you're raising kids, your kids are growing, like you change as a woman, changes so much. But men are pretty steady. They're pretty steady. And so the life coach or whoever it was saying, when you meet a man today, if his life is he's trying to run a business, it's kind of chaotic, it's all that's who he's going to still be in 10 years and 20 years. And so it was like, don't choose somebody for who you think you can get them to become. Yeah. You need to be okay with who they are today. Yeah. If they continue to evolve and get better, great. But you cannot go into a relationship thinking, give them a little bit of time for this to happen, they'll be better. Give them a little bit of time for this to happen, they'll be better. And I'm guilty of that because I'm always trying to grow people, see potential in people. If I just water it a little bit, it'll get better. And I think that's a piece that we've got to recognize, that even though we're always seeing the potential and the possibility in people, when it comes to romantic relationships, we need to see people for who they are right now. Yeah. And if we're not okay with who they are right now, then they do not need to be who we're pursuing that romantic relationship with.
Am I wrong to think about it like this? Like, I've the range of women that I've been attracted to is pretty fascinating for me. Like famous and successful, all the way down to, and this is not has anything to do with intelligence, but like ambition. You could say on the ambition scale. Yes. I'm not attracted to any of those things. I am attracted to how they make me feel about me. Mm-hmm. Do they accept me?
They make
and
you feel
that's
safe.
it. They can be as chaotic, as controversial, as long as they're kind to people. Like I care about how they treat other people fundamentally, but then how do they treat me? How do they make me feel about myself? And that's all I look for. And people would look at me and say, God, I can't believe you'd date her. I don't care. She makes me feel good. At the end of the day, I'm looking for safety.
Yeah.
It's almost like we are drawn to our mothers in some way, and women are drawn to their fathers in some way.
If your mother made you feel safe. If
my mother to this day.
So it depends on what that relationship was like.
Well, honestly, you could have had a terrible relationship with your father, but as long as it was consistently inconsistent, that's what you'll typically be drawn to, because your nervous system's used to that inconsistency, which is a complicated thing. Save it for next podcast.
Yeah. But safety is key, right? And so we talked about that you cannot really be vulnerable until you feel safe. And we even talked about I said, emotional and vulnerable are two different words. You said that today.
And I'm still trying to unpack it.
So you can express emotion, happiness, sadness,
I don't know how to do the sad. The happy, I'm good.
You can have the range of emotions.
You know what I've learned? I've learned that I can express shame. That's a new one for me. It wasn't sadness. I felt shame. And that was overwhelming. I expressed that here.
Even just naming an emotion, like understanding that what I'm feeling is shame, like being able to assign a word to what you're feeling is huge for someone to be able to do. Yeah. But vulnerability is I'm flipping over and letting my underbelly show, and I'm trusting you. You could stick a knife in it, or you can just pet it, And so that is a different. Vulnerable and emotional are two different words.
I think to myself, it's something that I want to practice.
It's scary to practice.
I've learned from a friend that you only get so many heartstrings. And I've learned, I haven't researched it because I kind of don't want to research it. I kind of want to believe that it's true, that your heart is made up of these strings and that they can break. Your heart can literally break, and you can truly die of a broken heart. I do think that's true because of cortisol levels. But from what it was explained to me, she told me that you can die ultimately you have so many, and once they all break, you're gone. And I think,
where'd that come from?
It was just a hard story. So anyways, I thought, I want to put myself in positions that I can risk that happening. But how many do you really get? Is that true?
It's kind of like a cat with 9 lives.
Am I going to become, the word's not jaded, am I going to become cynical towards relationships? Is that's because I think that's what's going on. People are cynical because they've just been burned so many times. But God, it's a complicated thing. I don't know, but I'm looking to find out.
Well, and I think I've approached things differently. I mean, I've been through periods of being a recluse. Like, I'm just going to stay home. I'm just going to watch my sappy Hallmark movie and wear my Buc-ee's flannel pajama pants and be happy by myself. But I feel like that's me giving up. Like, if I'm not continuing to put myself out there, to put one foot in front of the other, the perfect person could be just waiting for me to get my act together. You and I have had this conversation that there could be two people who are designed for each other, but one of them needs to get a period at the end of their sentence before they're able, or maybe they both need that. Maybe they're both just waiting to get something wrapped up before they're able to move into that next stage. And so I think there's a lot of us that live in a world where we're afraid to put the period at our sentence. We're caught in maybe it's a financial reason, whatever it is. And so as you meet people, you're like, God, why did I have to wait so long to meet you? And then you're like, man, I wish you would have gotten your act together sooner. I could have met you 12 months ago or 2 years ago.
See, I don't think that way. I'm just always so grateful in the moment. It's almost like
I am grateful
when I
in the
meet
moment,
someone, it's like the past doesn't even exist anymore.
Right.
Like, and I think that's amazing about humans. You can live a horrific life and then get in a one good, healthy relationship, and you'll think to yourself, it was all worth it. You'll justify the tragedies and the trauma you've been through to have this experience, to share it with Einstein said, a life not lived for others is a life not lived at all. And I think there's no one better than a partner.
Oh, yeah.
Even in some ways, children don't even compare in many ways.
And I don't know that. And I have some dear friends who have been married, like my own little brother married his wife. They were together from middle school on, have a great relationship. And there are those that you will see. And it is rare and it's precious to see it. But I know that when you've been through some really hard relationships, when you finally find one where it's good, I think you value that so much because you know what it's like to not have that, or you know what the opposite is. If you've always had it, I assume you value it, but I just can't imagine that you value it like somebody who hasn't had it or had the opposite of that. Yeah. And so I think you see it's these
so rare.
What I'm going to call them sunset relationships. It's like the last part of your life. You're going into the sunset portion of your life. We don't care anymore how much money people make or what they own or what their degrees are in. It's like, can I enjoy the sunset portion of my life with you? Can I enjoy actually sitting and looking at sunsets with you every night? And like that's the thing you're looking for.
I can't think we can end with this because it's probably been an hour, but I think it's the rarest thing. It's the human experience, sharing your life. Oh man, and my internal clock dialed in. I think the rarest thing is over gold and diamonds. All those things exist to like attract a mate. The jobs we get, the accomplishments we have, are to be the most attractive individual possible for a potential mate. And that's why it's so magical that if you do get lucky enough, and I think there's a lot of luck. I think that luck truly is, and I heard Casey and I say this, luck is nothing more where preparation intersects opportunity. Opportunity is going to come. This goes for bad luck too. If you don't prepare well, the opportunity for a broke down car is going to happen.
Say that one more time. It's
so preparation. Luck is where preparation intersects with opportunity. And so there have been opportunities that passed me that I didn't have the courage to go after, and those are gone. And now it's like I'm looking for that next opportunity because I am prepared, and I'll be damned if I risk. I could care less. Just stab me in the heart before I let another opportunity slip through my fingertips. I'm capitalizing on anything that seems like it has potential.
I think that is probably the best quote I have heard in a long time. Luck is where preparation intersects with opportunity.
Yeah, that's everything. Opportunities are always going to come, but if you're not prepared,
and it goes back to, are you creating opportunities for yourself? Are you putting yourself out there? Yeah. I know you hate the online dating world. I have friends.
I don't hate it. I just don't believe in it. It's like ghosts. People that believe in ghosts hear and see ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't believe, so I'm not going to hear and see them.
And there are so many bad. We've all had them, right? But what else are you doing to create opportunities? And I know you're very social. You go out a lot. But I think about friends of mine who are just staying in their house Are you increasing your odds for opportunity?
I don't think I've ever had a relationship that, like, every one of my good relationships, even though they ended because I didn't really have the skill set or the knowledge, and it ran its course, and thank God, because I'm glad I'm not with them anymore. I learned so much. I'm ready to find that next person. But it all happened by accident. I wasn't looking for anything. Every single time I found someone, it was
opportunity.
In the first year of being single, I was looking at every red light. I was going to Kroger's. I was shopping. What hours are the best hours to shop?
Shopping in the floral
And
section?
I was just trying too hard.
Yeah.
And I think you radiate a sense of
Neediness?
scarcity.
Yeah.
I think people can't even look at you, and you don't think you're doing anything wrong. But I think there's truly something about energy.
Yeah.
And my energy was terrible because I was like, how do I do this again? I don't even.
Desperation. Yeah.
And anybody coming out of a relationship gets to experience that. But then you rebuild yourself. I talked about fishing.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to fish all over again.
Yes, you did.
I had to learn how to be patient.
All about fishing.
When a girl asked me one night, what have you been up to? I hadn't talked to her in about a month. I said, I'm just fishing. Meaning I'm sitting here being patient. Well, here she comes. She got on. Get in my boat.
You like the fishing analogy. I like the shopping analogy. So
I don't like the shopping
I know
analogy.
you don't.
We'll talk about that
I don't
another
like
podcast.
the fishing one.
Yeah.
So sunset relationships. It's like sunset careers. That's what we're looking at next. What is our sunset
I'm not looking for it.
relationships?
You asked me the first podcast, how's your dating life? I said non-existent. It's none of my business. I'm at a point that it is none of my business. If one falls from the sky, well, I'll be darned.
You're prepared. You're just when
I'm
opportunity strikes, you're prepared.
Yeah.
That's the only you can't control opportunity, but you can control your preparedness.
I can control what I do with this situation.
We can put the work in to be prepared. We cannot always generate the opportunity, though.
Absolutely. I think this has been fun. This has been
Awesome.
good.
Great.
We're going to do this again.
Okay.
Well, listen, thank you so much. Until next time, so long, friends.
Bye.
Oh, man, that was a healthy podcast.